Guys, welcome back to the baseball podcast. We're right in the teeth of our little developing mini series here on the Australia Baseball League, and we were actually recording this post the interview that you will be watching tonight. Okay, this episode we spoke with Dan Vaughan. We are recording this at a later time when we speak to a undisclosed future guest. So
Yeah,
stay tuned for that, everybody.
that
Okay.
guest will be the next episode.
There's actually, you know what? No, let's never mind. Okay. So anyway, yeah, I mean, we're trying to get to the bottom of this whole ABL situation as best as two Americans who have never been to Australia can. Uh,
Yeah,
we sort of have this developing kind of thing where there's like a financial arm of the problem, and then there's like a cultural arm of the problem, and you know, both of the Dans that we have spoken to at this time have had their takes on it, which you'll hear. And I don't know. I mean, it sounded like at the beginning, I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast, but it sounded like it was just like, oh, we'll just get a wealthy billionaire and just have him come in and just backstop everything, and then it'll all be fine. It's like,
which
well,
would be the easiest solution.
yeah, that like obviously that would be wonderful, but that doesn't usually happen.
Right.
That's what many people would describe as a pipe dream. So they're gonna have to find another way to do it. And even you know what? If the billionaire drops out of the sky, then maybe they won't have to go through with whatever plan they've come up with. But yeah, this is our we're speaking to Dans who have insight on Australian sports
And
this
then the
month
next
on the
person
baseball
who's
podcast.
and then the next person who's not a Dan.
Right, he's not a Dan, unfortunately, but maybe his middle name's Dan. We haven't checked. I
That's a
haven't
good
checked.
point. Yeah, could be.
But yeah, so you know, yeah, stick around, listen to us speak with baseball legend Dan Vaughan. Okay, he's one of our favorite guests here on the podcast.
I love talking to Dan Vaughan. Like honestly, one of my favorite guests we've ever had on.
I know, dude, I don't know where all this like natural charisma comes from, but the dude, it's probably just because he's a broadcaster. It's just
Yeah,
comes with the territory. But like, you can really tell, like, yeah, that this guy just oozes riz. At
yeah.
the end of the day.
You know what it is? You know what it is? I was at church yesterday or on Monday,
Yeah.
and I was talking with this guy
You
who
were
I
at
know a little
church yesterday or on Monday,
on
which
Sunday. Sorry.
three things. Yeah,
I was at church
yesterday.
on Sunday, July 27th. And
Yesterday was wrong,
yeah, yesterday,
but yesterday was Monday,
which was
and you
correct,
don't go to
but
church.
that was also wrong. I was talking to this guy who I know like a little bit, but not super well. And so I sat down next
Okay,
to him and we're chatting for like a little while, maybe like 15, 20 minutes. And at the end, by the end of it, and like, you know how I am, like I'll kind of just get going, like, and
right.
sometimes I'll say things that'll make people a little uncomfortable, whatever. But I would like
That
to think
never
I'm like
happens.
yeah, yeah. But like, I would like to think I'm a nice enough guy. I would like to think I can make people laugh. And so
Okay,
like, my goal is like, I might make you uncomfortable at some point during the conversation. My goal is that by the end of it, you enjoyed it. You know what I mean? And so
okay.
this guy, I could tell there was a few of those where I'd said something, and he kind of was like, okay. But then by the end of it, he was like laughing. And I was
Now,
like,
I'd be
anyway,
interested to hear what you said to make this poor church man
um,
uncomfortable.
I will tell you off the air. It's not the most appropriate thing in the
Mm,
world. Actually, it was
mm.
something that he said to me that was kind of inappropriate, is what I don't want to say. But
Oh
anyway,
wait, are you saying that he like triggered it and then you took like another step and he's like, whoa, 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 hold
no,
on.
no,
You're
no,
like,
no.
oh, I'm
I
sorry,
said
I thought we were
something.
cool.
No, no, no. No, 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 no. That's fine. It's fine. Um, no, well, I'll just. It's not really like dirty or anything. It was. I called him. I said he was really handsome, which he is.
Oh, you told me this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it
you told me this
and
story.
that's one of those things that can go either way. Like if somebody called me handsome, I'd be like, "Oh, thanks," but some people think that's uncomfortable. Anyway, he said something
Hmm.
about it later. But anyway, the point was, I said that he was handsome, and I was like, and he got a little bit uncomfortable, and I was like, I thought we were having fun here, and like I don't think it's really a problem. And he was like, No, no, you're good. I just was like a little surprised, like okay. And then we kept talking for a couple minutes, and he goes, "You should work in sales." And I was like,
Oh, that's not a compliment, by the
Well, no,
way.
no, well, no, no, no. And I went, I should. And he goes, You have the gift of gab. And I was like, Thanks. And he goes, No, it's a good
Thank
thing.
you.
And I was like, okay. Even what I said to him, I mean, now we're getting way off track, but what I said to him was, I was like, I don't think I
Okay.
want to work in sales. And he's like, why? What's wrong with sales? And I was like, because I don't like, I don't want somebody to spend their money on something unless they really want to, like, unless it's actually the decision that they think is what's best for them. And I
Right.
feel like that's a pretty bad way to make a living as a salesman. You know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
think that's a little bit of a hard no on the
Yeah. Like I know there are
future as a
jobs.
salesman.
Yeah, like I know there are jobs that are more salary than commission, but at the end of the day, it's like if somebody has like any reservation at all about buying something, I don't want to be in a position where I have to go, no, 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 buy it anyway. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Um,
Well, and even if you're on salary, like if you don't sell anything, they're not going to be like, well, you're
yeah, they're not gonna keep
salaried, so
paying
it's
you a
fine.
salary. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm a
But
salesman.
anyway,
I don't sell anything, but I still get paid.
yeah, yeah.
That's
But it's like
that's a no work job on The Sopranos.
yeah, yeah. But Dan Vaughn has the gift of gab, is what it's coming down to.
Yeah.
Dan, he must have kissed the Blarney Stone.
Yeah. You know what, Dan? We'll reach back out to confirm
Yeah,
if you have a kissing relationship with the Blarney Stone.
yeah.
Okay, we're spilling the tea here on the baseball podcast.
No, but he really is the greatest. Like just to fill in the audience about Dan Vaughn. So I became aware of him during I think the first season I watched ABL. It was the 2019 to 2020 season because
Yeah,
it goes
it's like
between
the
2 years.
NFL.
Yeah, it's like the NBA where they have like a season split over 2 different years.
Mhm.
And so I remember that season ended like right before the coronavirus, like that February. And I was
Right.
opening the store when I was working at Starbucks, so I would have to get up at like 4 a.m. and the ABL games would be finishing up. I'd catch like the sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth innings, and I would be listening to him, and I was like, oh, this guy's pretty fun. And then he mentioned that they had this show Talking Baseball Australia, which has since been renamed to Baseball's Best Mate. So everybody go find it. I'll put a link. But him, Paul Morgan, who's the other broadcaster for the Heat, do
Mm.
the show, and they just kind of talk all things Aussie baseball. So they'll recap, how Australians are doing in MLB systems or across the world, and then obviously what's going on in the ABL, that sort of thing. And so I started listening to this show, well, it was called Talking Baseball Australia, and you can like they stream it live on Facebook, and so I would like comment in there, and they would always read like every comment on air, address it, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then when the coronavirus happened, there's like nothing to do and no sports. Dan Vaughn has a YouTube channel, just a Dan Vaughn YouTube channel, like not like a sports one, and he was just doing. What did he call it? I think it was called like Dan Vaughn's Happy Hour or something. And he would
Mm.
just like chat. And like I found myself just like listening to him a few times. And then at
Oh,
one
he's like
point
FDR. He was doing a fireside chat.
yeah, yeah. And at one point he like opened it up and was like, anybody can hop on. And I was like, let's do it. And so I like hopped
I'm
on. I was
popping
like,
over there to give him a follow, by the way.
yeah, do it. And so I just like hopped on and I was like, hey Dan. And actually what I told him was I was like, you remind me a lot of my dad, which you know my dad, Tom, or
That
you knew
is
my dad.
absolutely on point.
Yeah, he's like he looks kind of like my dad, and he like taught like my dad was super gregarious and like very fun to be around. Like Dan Vaughn is a
Mm.
lot like my dad, and so I went on there and sort of like you remind me a lot of my dad, and I just want to thank you for that. Like this is a lot of fun. And he was like, no, no way, dude. And so anyway, so that got going, and so we started talking that way. And then I was writing for this website called Reality Circuit, and I did an article about Dan Vaughn's like baseball life. So like him going from like the minor leagues over to Australia, now he's doing indie ball, that sort of thing, and he's just had this really interesting career. And so I wrote an article about that, and then we had him on the show, and then we had him on the show again with Phil to do we did like a head-to-head episode, remember, of Australia versus
Yeah,
Cuba.
that was dude, that whole like WBC arc was without a doubt the best part of the podcast's like history.
Yes.
That was one of the best ideas that I think we had, where we were like, oh yeah, let's bring on the Australia guy and the Cuba guy, because you know what, they're going
We
head to head,
should
and it as a nice little bonus. Um, it turned out to be like an instant classic of a game. So
Yeah, it was a great game. We should I mean now we're just talking about like our own like plans on air, but who cares? We
yeah,
should like
okay.
try to do more of that this year, and we should be more diligent about like recording during the World Baseball Classic, and maybe because it takes a while to edit, just do like littler episodes, like 20, 30 minutes. But I do like the idea because we only did it that one time with Dan and with Phil. We should do more of that. Like we should have
Your Koosh.
I'm trying to think who was Odell we had on to talk about KBO. We could like pit
Yeah,
him. We could like pit him against somebody, or
you know, PR guy.
Yeah, Yaku
Yuri.
Cosmo. Obviously, we could have on to talk about Team Japan. Yeah, Yuri could talk about the Czech
We
Republic. Yeah,
have.
we
Is
what?
there any teams that we don't have guys for who are going to be like relevant,
Um,
like Venezuela, I guess?
well, no, because we had Daniel on.
Oh, true. Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
Daniel Alvarez. I'm trying to
Um,
think like DR. We should be fine.
Korea,
Puerto Rico, maybe. I mean, these are big
Puerto
enough countries that we could
Rico's
find somebody.
relevant. Yeah,
Yeah. Also, like, well, worst case scenario, Sean is an expert on everything, so we could have him on.
yeah,
Two, Sean knows everybody from everywhere, so we could always say, "Hey, man, we're doing an episode about whatever." Can you
yeah.
just send
I
us the
think
guy?
that the team that is probably the most outstanding. I know this is probably riveting for you guys. We would need a Team Mexico connection because Mexico was actually like surprisingly good last
Yeah,
time
Mexico's
around,
really good. Well, here, wait,
which I
because
was not expecting.
this might be a little dry for the audience, and you just said this is probably riveting. Let's make a call to action. If you're a fan of a WBC team, send us over an email or tweet
Yeah,
at us, right? And let us know. It's in the description down below. Let us know, and we can have you on the show to talk
yeah.
about your team. So anyway, we're getting far afield here, but Dan Vaughn came on the show, gave us lots of thoughts on the ABL. We will do a
Mhm.
few more episodes, at least one more episode. Um, and I would
We
like to do
already
more.
have done one more episode as of this
Oh, I
recording,
meant one
so
more after that. Oh, I already got
right.
another guy that we're talking to. Um, but yeah, I would like to keep going. I'm going to see if any of our other guests can put us in touch with people or something. Because I want to.
Mhm.
Basically, my idea here is to make it like a mini series. Well, it is a mini series,
Yeah,
but
it
just
has
kind of
already
do like,
become one at this
yeah, it is a
point.
mini series. But I want to just get like as many because I'm not an expert in the ABL. I think I know a lot more about it than the average American, but I'm not an
Right.
expert. And so what
Yeah.
I want to do is just get as many viewpoints and different viewpoints too about the ABL like in one place, and then like the connecting tissue is you and me listening to all these conversations. And
Hmm.
then like even with Dan Vaughn, we said, oh, we had a guy called Dan Boyce on, he told us this, what do you think of that idea? And by the end
Right.
of it, hopefully we can come out of it with sort of a, I mean, I'm just gonna be straight with the audience, my dream is to get somebody from the ABL on the show, like from like the ABL.
Yeah, like a front office guy.
Yeah, Glenn Williams, who played in the big leagues with the Twins. I think he runs Baseball Australia or something. But my understanding is that he like the buck stops with him, I think, when it comes to like
Okay.
Australian baseball. And there's a guy called Paul Gonzalez who won a silver medal with Team Australia in 2004. He's an American guy. And I think
Okay.
he's like the general manager of the ABL. So there's like a management side. Like I would love to get somebody from management in to
Yeah,
talk about the
that
show.
is so far, without revealing our mystery guest, that is the only angle that we have not heard on the
Correct.
podcast so far. And that honestly is the biggest angle that needs to be heard because that's the problem right now is like front
Yeah,
office
yeah.
stuff.
Well, actually, well,
So
that's not quite true though, because one other angle that we would need is I would love to have like an ABL super fan on the show. Like, because
true,
I
yeah,
like the
actually, yeah.
ABL, you like the ABL, but like Dan is an employee of a team, right?
Hmm.
Like Dan Boyce is kind of an outsider. He's not really involved in the ABL. I
Right,
mean, he's
yeah.
not really interested in the ABL. Like, I would love to get somebody who like has season tickets or at least goes to games a lot, like has merch and everything. Like I would love to know, like
Mm,
from an Australian in one of these cities, like what
right.
does it look like for you? And literally just like into the nitty gritty of like what do you think of the costs? Like if like I would, I mean, it would only be one person's opinion, and this is a call to action too. If there's an ABL fan out
Right.
there that
Well, but
wants to come
currently we
on,
have zero
please
people's
do.
opinion on that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. But like I would love to know, like, hey, how much does a hot dog cost? If they made hot dogs $5 more to cover cost, would you still go to a game? Like that sort of thing. Like I would love
right.
to know, like, as a fan, what would you be willing to put up with in order to make the
Hmm.
ABL viable? That sort of thing.
And that
So anyway,
that kind
anybody
of reminds me of well, that's something that you will hear from Dan. That I I shouldn't spoil it because
okay.
it's Dan Vaughn's idea, and I want to go into it more, but I want people to hear it from Dan. So I don't know. Maybe we can talk about it on the next episode. But like
Yeah, that's
he
fine.
has an idea that is financially has to be solved, but like culturally, and you'll hear it, you'll probably know what I mean. Culturally would be phenomenal. It's just
Yeah.
getting people in the seats. Um, But yeah, you guys will hear it from Dan. I hate to be vague, but I don't want to like steal his thunder before he
Yeah, no, 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 you're fine.
before he even
You're fine.
says it to you guys. So
Yeah,
yeah, we'll leave it for that. Now maybe we talk about it on the next episode of the
yeah,
baseball podcast, which as inevitable as the sun rising each day, there will be another. You know, we are
yeah.
eternal.
Oh, of course. So
Yeah,
anyway, if any of the things that we just called out interested you,
yeah,
please email us, tweet at us, let us know you'd like to come on the show. Or you know what? I shouldn't even limit it to that. If you want to come on the show, just let us know. We have no barrier to entry. If you want to come on and
yeah,
just talk about stuff and play games, that's fine.
yeah. We'd
Speaking of
love to
playing
play
games,
Elmer Descends with
yeah,
randos. Yeah.
yeah. Let's end it with a game. Tom, give me your most random Australian baseball player you can think of.
Um. Okay. So, how about does it have to be a guy who's like who played in ABL?
No, no, just said an MLB player that was born in Australia.
Okay. Okay. I'm not going to go with Trent Olchin. I feel like I bring him up a lot.
Yeah, he is
Uh,
random though.
he is very random. Born in Australia. Was
I can go first if you'd like.
wait, hold on, hold on. Was Damian Moss born in Australia?
Sure was.
Okay, I'm
There
gonna
you
go with
go.
Damian
Good
Moss.
work. That's a good one. That is a rando. I'm gonna go with 2008 Phillies great Brad Harmon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wait, was Chris Snelling born in Australia, or is he just
I mean, I
eligible?
would have counted him here. I think he was born in the United States, but he was raised in Australia. Played for Australia in the WBC.
Okay. Okay.
There's
So
three.
he's
There's three of those. Chris Snelling was born in the U.S. but is Australian. Played for them. Michael Nakamura is this guy who was born in Japan but is Australian. Played for
okay.
Australia. Although he went on to play an ML or an NPB and was an All-Star. He's really good. And then a guy
Okay.
called Phil Stockman was born in the UK, moved to Australia, lived like grew up there, played for the Braves. So there's three of those.
By the way, there's no such thing as a baseball player who was named Phil Stockman. That's not a real person.
I'm sorry.
This is an official baseball podcast disclaimer that that's a randomly generated human being.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, I mean,
Um,
okay, I don't think Damian Moss is as random as Phil Stockman, but
no, 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 no.
but you know what? You know, it's not always about randomness. Okay.
Yeah, it can't all be sunshine and rainbows here on the baseball
Yeah. I
podcast.
was
But
gonna say Trent Durrington, but he's on my mind because he comes up in this future episode that we're recording this after, and
yeah,
that's not fair. That's cheating.
yeah, you didn't come up with that naturally.
No, no. Although
But yeah,
Trent Durrington organically would have been a great one.
yeah. Here, I'll leave you with this. Let's call it quits. I got
Okay.
something interesting for you. One last thing.
Okay.
There's a guy,
Okay.
28 years old, in the White Sox system. He was actually born like 3 weeks after me. What do you know? 28
Okay.
years old in the White Sox system, infielder, guy called Jason Matthews. I'm going to tell you
Okay.
why he's important to me. He's got 4 years of minor league experience under his belt, and he has a 606 total OPS.
Okay.
At 28 years old, that sounds like a guy who's not long for professional baseball, right?
Yeah. That's a
However,
backup catcher OPS.
hang on.
Okay.
However,
Okay.
I don't know why, because in 43 double A games, he hit to a 651 OPS. Not good. However, the
Okay.
White Sox are terrible, so I don't know what's going on over there. He was evidently promoted to Triple A, so the doorstep of the majors.
Okay.
15 games, 52 plate appearances. He's got a 963 OPS. Guy's tearing the cover off the ball, right? So now he's playing well. Hang on, I got a reason for
Okay.
bringing this up. He's playing well, and he's one injury away from making a major league team, right?
Okay.
That's current. That's today. That's as of today. He's in
That's
Triple A.
as of
July
June or
29th.
July 29th,
Yeah.
2025.
The reason I'm bringing this up, Tom, Jason Matthews will be, if this happens, the first ever New Zealand-born Major League Baseball player.
Oh, okay. You
And
know
I never
what?
thought it would happen because I thought, yeah, he plays in ABL. He wasn't very good in the minors. I never thought it happened. I like looked him up on a whim the other day, and I was like, Jason Matthews is a real shot at doing it.
Yeah, if there's any team that's going to promote somebody who's not that good, it's
Yeah.
the White Sox.
So I would
Not
love
to
that. So that's
trash
something to,
them, but
no, no. I
it's
listen.
hard to be good at the major league level. But you know what? And this is relevant because or sorry, New Zealand is Australia's brother that has less poisonous spiders in it. So,
Yeah. And this guy plays ABL. So there you go.
yeah,
I think he plays for
I forget
Sydney.
why I know that. Like, you know how there's that meme that like you go to Australia, just everything is like dying to kill you
Yeah, yeah.
at all times. I think we might have talked about that with Dan Boyce a little bit. Like he was like, yeah, if you're not in like the middle of nowhere, it's not really true.
Yeah.
I looked this up at some point and I forget why. Apparently, all of the dangerous stuff that's in Australia that's like poisonous and like, it has enough venom to kill 100 adult men in one drop. Evidently, none of that exists in New Zealand.
Hmm.
Don't know why. Don't know how it never jumped the pond, but
New Zealand does have
apparently
a
it's not
lot.
there.
New Zealand has a lot to offer. It's got Django Fett. It's got the Lord of
True.
the Rings. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a
the
lot there.
Shire still there.
Yeah. Yeah. New
So
Zealand
go
would
to
be a
New
cool place
Zealand,
to
man.
go.
Go to Australia too, but also go to New
Yeah.
Zealand.
New Zealand would be a cool place to go. And you know what's hilarious? Australia, like they've got a bunch of Aussie baseball guys. So their national team is always Australian guys, and then their coaching staff is usually Australian guys, some Americans. But New Zealand doesn't really have that. They don't have any. There's a guy called Scott Richmond who played for the Blue Jays. I think he was eligible somehow, so he played for them. But in like
Yeah.
the qualifiers. But other than that, it's just a bunch of New Zealand guys you never heard of. Their coaching staff, I don't know who in baseball New Zealand has connections, but somebody has connections because their coaching staff is like really good MLB players every year. Like Darrell Evans was like multiple time
Yeah.
All-Star. Like
Wait,
Jay Bell, Jim Cott, Hall of Famer coached for
wait,
them.
wait, hold on.
I'm serious. I'm serious. It's the
Did we
craziest
cover
thing.
this? I don't think we
I
did because they're not really like relevant on the world stage,
I
but
think I
like
brought it up in passing when we talked to Dan Vaughan
maybe.
a few years ago. But
Yeah.
here I got a list here. I'll list you off some guys. Josh Bard was another one I remember. Not that he was like a world beater, but he was a good player. Um,
Yeah, but like, dude, like Nicaragua is not rolling out dudes like that.
no,
Nicaragua
keep in
like
mind these are
plays
coaches.
baseball.
None of these guys played for New Zealand. They're
Right, but
coaches.
that's what I mean is like Nicaragua's coaches, like I think all of them had MLB experience, but like then if Jim Cott,
Real
you
fast,
know,
did you see news dropped yesterday? Dusty Baker will be managing Nicaragua in the upcoming World Baseball
he
Classic.
will.
Don't know where that came from.
Is he
But yeah, here,
Nicaraguan?
real fast. No, no, he just signed up. Anybody can coach.
So
Um,
he's
here,
just hey, I really love this
yeah,
program.
here. These are guys who have coached for New Zealand at the World Baseball Class or at the international level. Jim
Okay.
Cott, Josh Bard, Jay Bell, Darren Bragg was an outfielder for a long time in the '90s. Josh Colementor, Daryl Evans. Let's see. Scott Richmond played for them. Ron Renicky coached for them, evidently, and Chris Woodward.
Dude, like
Those are like
almost
names.
all of those guys played MLB for like a long time, if not all of them.
Yeah,
They all played MLB. A couple of those dudes are like legitimate studs, like Jim
yeah,
Cott and Daryl.
yeah. And like Chris Woodward wasn't good, but like he was a manager of the Rangers. Like these are like big time guys to get. So I don't know who the heck within New Zealand has connections, but somebody has connections.
Yeah, so whoever's pulling this off, man, who's their mysterious benefactor?
I don't know. I did email Baseball New Zealand a while back and ask if somebody could come on the show, but they never got back to us.
Dude, they have like if any of you guys play Mass Effect, they have like the elusive man. He's just like
Yeah,
behind the
yeah, yeah.
scenes, just funding
Yeah.
everything. Just
Well, the one thing that I
get
know,
me all get me MLB All Stars for my coaching staff.
the only thing I know, I have no idea where Darrell Evans and Jay Bell and that stuff came from. The one thing I know is Josh Colementor and DJ Carrasco. He like played a couple of years in the big leagues.
Yeah, I remember that guy.
Those two guys played for the Auckland Tuatara, and now I think about Darren Bragg, coach for the Auckland Tuatara. And then I guess they probably like I know that they later went on to coach for the New Zealand team, so they probably enjoyed their time there. Somebody reached out, so like that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like if they
Yeah,
went over there to play, I don't know where Darrell Evans came from. Like I don't know who got in touch with him, but
yeah, Jim Cott.
Brian Mattis was another one. Brian Mattis
Oh,
coached for
Orioles
them at the
great.
yeah. So yeah, weird. Anyway, we should call it quits.
Yeah, we got a
Sir,
little far field. We're talking
yeah, we
about
did.
New
Yeah, we
Zealand,
did.
but the
Yeah.
episode that you're about to listen to is about Australia. So get back into Australia mode
Yeah.
and get back into Dan Vaughan mode because that is where you are headed next. That is your next stop, everybody.
Yeah. So anyway, hope you enjoy the show. Feel free to reach out, email us, send us a tweet if you'd like to come on the show. If you'd like to represent anybody in the World Baseball Classic, we'd be happy to have you on, get your thoughts, play some silly games. And yeah, go show
Yeah.
Dan Vaughn some love on Twitter. He's at Dan Vaughn Jr. So Dan, thanks again for coming on. Welcome back to the Baseball Podcast. We're honored to be joined by the great Dan Vaughn once again. He's our Australia expert, one of many. And Dan, as everyone knows, is the play-by-play voice of the Perth Heat and also the play-by-play voice of the Sioux City Explorers in the American Association, and an Aussie baseball insider from America. So, Dan, we're doing a series of episodes interviewing people about the current state of affairs of the Australian Baseball League. And as someone who's involved with the league, or at least one of the teams directly, want to give us a real quick rundown of what's going on from a Perth Heat perspective, if you know anything specific about that, and then what you think can be done about the league if there's going to be a season, all that.
That's a loaded question, but I'll break it down because there's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
Australia's had, obviously, you guys have been talking about this, I'm sure, but the league's gone through a major change with Melbourne, making the move they made. Canberra stepping aside as well. They're them kind of temporarily suspending, but the Aces are planning on playing, a limited exhibition schedule, and I believe if I understand it correctly, in the KBO with some Korean teams, they're going to fill out some games in Australia, but they're going to kind of do their own thing. They're kind of do their own deal. Leaves really four teams, at least Sydney, Adelaide, Brisbane, and Perth, all with the four ABL teams. Now, as far as from a Perth perspective, there was a pretty good thought that they might go away, that there was a chance they'd go away for a year or so. But it appears to be, from what I understand and what I've heard from on the ground over there, is that they're going to go forward. They're going to be fine, because initially there was an announcement made that Perth was going to spend a year away. But then the very next day, this is about a month ago, the next day, league comes out and says, no, we're going to have Perth. They're going to be involved. So it appears to be four teams, and at least from a Perth perspective, it's a good thing, because over the years, and you can go back, really going back since the MLB was involved in this thing, Perth has been a top two attendance pretty much every year except for one, and it's a place that's always drawn well, especially toward the tail of the year when it starts to get close to playoff time and the playoffs. They've drawn well. There's been heavy interest there. So seeing them go away would have been a huge loss for the league. With three teams, you would have had a hard time to have a three-team league. I mean, that's a weekend jamboree is what that basically would wind up being. And but from a Perth perspective, it sounds like everything's back on schedule. Looks like they're going to be kind of run locally. And there's a lot of really passionate people in the West who care deeply about the game of baseball, who are committed to keeping the team going and to keeping the legacy that is Western Australian baseball, which has been very strong going back, 50, 60 years. So kind of in a bit of a nutshell, but it's a lot of moving parts. And I can tell you what happens a week from now. It could be a different story, but that's how it stands right now.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of moving parts, and it seems like it's one of those things where nobody exactly knows what's going on, what the plan is, and what things are going to look like. So am I correct in assuming that every team is sort of fending for themselves, of saying, what's the best decision that I can make for my club? And then the needs of the league and the future of the league kind of have to come second?
I think you're onto something there. I think it depends on each place. The big picture baseball, what's best for the Premier 24, the Premier 12 team, and for the World Baseball Classic. That's the big picture. But what's the micro? Well, what's best for our bottom line? And each city is a little different. I think what you have here is Melbourne's, the weight they've carried financially and what they've done to grow their brand. They've had a chance to go on their own way. Everybody's a little different. Perth out west, I mentioned earlier, attendance has been great over the years. It's a strong baseball community. It's a little different situation there. I can't speak for Canada and for Sydney, Melbourne, I'm Sydney, Adelaide, and Brisbane, but I just know every place is a little different. The big picture is how to grow the game in Australia, right? That's the ultimate goal. And how do you do that without losing your shorts? how to do that without going broke, how to do that while you're growing the game. It's a real challenge, and it's a challenge anywhere. As Americans, we know how easy it is here in the States. I mean, we've got affiliated ball, we've got partner league ball. It just sort of it's wash and repeat every year. But over there, it's a fringe sport, and you've got a fringe sport trying to get traction in a country that's sports mad for their own codes, for their footy and for the cricket and for the rugby and the swimming and those the track and field. Those are all basketball is huge over there. It's a crowded environment over there, and it's not like here where tonight, for example, the American Association is throwing a home run derby on that's being broadcast, on a stream. That's something that we do roll out of bed and do here in the States. They don't do that there. It's a real tough challenge, and trying to be a top 6 or 7 sport in the country is a challenge, and that's really where everything's different. Because the big picture is, hey, we need to compete. We need players, opportunities, more at bats, more pitching. But we also, at the same time, can't do this by going broke. And you can't just be the good-natured volunteer to try to prop it up, because you got to pay the bills. You've got to pay those concessions. You got to pay the merchandise. You've got to pay the people that work there. You got to pay the groundskeeper. You got to pay for the fertilizer. It's a business. It's a delicate balance, guys. And I think that they're really realizing in Australia that perhaps the model that they've gone with, which is this mini major league, is not the way to go. That probably the best model is the minor league model, which is promotions, and let's play a ball game and do some more promotions and get folks in the stands. That model with the cool logos and the great mascots and the beer batter and all the things that we do over here, that needs to be done over there to help grow the fan interest and in turn give those guys a chance to play more than a handful of games a year. Long answer, but that's where we're at.
Right. Well, it's a question that kind of requires a long answer, or we wouldn't be in the place that we're in right now.
Sure.
If it was easy, then I think they would have just done it. So, we were talking about if there's anything they can learn from the basketball league. I forget the abbreviation. What is it?
It's the ABL, Australian Basketball League, yeah.
Oh,
I'm sorry, NBL, National
NBL,
Basketball League. Yeah, NBL, my bad. ABL is the baseball, but National Basketball League.
We were talking about if there was anything to learn from that, and it sounded like there's a little bit of a similar answer to what you suggested about, like, just get people in the seats any way you can and turn it into like a lasting thing. Like, apparently one thing that basketball has benefited from a lot in Australia is that, like, there's a generational thing going on now where, like, fathers are like, oh, I got to take my son. This is what I used to do when I was a kid. And it doesn't really seem like baseball has that at the moment. And it's not something you can build overnight. But, like, yeah, if you just get people in the stands with, like, silly promotions and all that type of stuff, which, there's going to be hardliners. There's going to be like old time dudes who are like, that's stupid. Do hits and runs and sacrifice bunt and show them the beauty of the game. We got to just get them there. That's the main thing. So yeah.
Give you a historical U.S. side of it, because I do a lot of research of, for example, Sioux City Explorers, but I've done a lot of research at the turn of the last century. And right now in our broadcast, we're doing 1894, the Sioux City Cornhuskers. And I've gone through a lot of these articles, and what was the problem for baseball in the States in the 1890s and really going into the 1920s was the fact that it was mostly considered a road game. Baseballers were guys that you didn't want your daughter dating. There was a gambling aspect involved. There was a lot of kind of unsavories. So what do these smaller towns do? The Sioux Cities, the Lincolns, the Des Moines, places that I'm familiar with, they had Ladies' Day. Women didn't go to games. That was not a thing back in the 1890s. And they would promote Thursday night as ladies' night. And suddenly, or Thursday afternoon, because they didn't play night games. Thursday afternoon's a ladies' day. So mom brings the kids out and mom's there because dad's at work, or maybe dad comes too, but they grew the game that way by getting mom involved. So mom liked it. So daughter would like it, and it grew that way because there was a time in our country, it was a men's game only. We've also had a time in our country, it was a black and white game, and we've overcome that. So we've made adjustments as a game outside of the balls and strikes. We've had to get people in the ballpark. And again, you're going back to 1894. Literally every town had a ladies' day because they're trying to encourage women to come out because it was not the nature of the game. The nature of the game in the 1890s and 1900s was it was a bad place to. You didn't want to go hang out at the ballpark because that was going to be the bad dudes, right? That was the bad
Right.
eggs. But you started getting women there, guys behaved, and they started to have a different culture change. Well, it works the same way now when you're growing any game. And you brought the basketball up. It's a great example because the NBA has been broadcast worldwide. They've done a great job of it. Major League Baseball has been too. But
Mhm.
how they get people in these basketball games? Go to Perth Wildcat game at the arena in Perth, and you close your eyes and you could be at a NBA or a good college basketball game because the promotions are the same camera, the same video camera work, the same kiss cams and fan cams and all the things that
Mhm.
get people involved that you and I take for granted. They're doing, and it's no
Mhm.
secret that the Big Bash cricket, which is the kind of the it's the fast version of cricket. Cricket has the one nighters, and that's what it is. It's the one game, one off cricket league they have.
Right. Yeah.
They got their, there's a reason they wear New Era hats, right? They got a lot of their secrets and a lot of things they're doing. If you close your eyes at a Big Bash game, a match, you close your eyes, you're gonna feel like you're at a minor league baseball game because they got things going on. Energy, there's energy, music playing, hands are clapping, people are having a good time, and they want to go
Mhm.
back. And the minor league model is it's not about yes, you want to win. We want to win in Sioux City badly, but we also want you to come back and come back again. And if we do win, we'll come back. We lose, you're back. We want you back no matter what. And that's what I think misses in Australia is that they've not really embraced that whole, hey, people are going to come out and watch baseball because we got folks that like baseball. But you got to get new fans, right?
Right.
You
Yeah.
got to get new people to come out. And how do you do that? Well, you do a diamond dig, or you do a Christmas in July, or well, in that case, it'd be Christmas in they do Christmas in January, so it's already January. But whatever the case,
Right.
whatever things we're doing, you do a crazy a giveaway of some sort, whatever that may be, and you do
Yeah,
the
do
things
Star Wars night.
exactly, and you do those things. Does it cost money? Sure, but also some of the things you can do are simple just by creating an atmosphere. And I don't know why this has been the case, but in Australia in general, the case of the minor league atmosphere has always been frowned upon or just sort of been like,
Really?
we want to be the top of the ladder in baseball in Australia. Well, that you can still have fun. Ever do a KBO game or go to a Nippon League, a Japanese game? Those things are fun.
Right.
They're blasts. I mean, they had somebody I saw this the other day. The last place team in Japan had a sellout crowd. They were having a good old time. You thought they were 10 games above, not 10 below, because people get into it. They're being entertained. If you want to be entertained, and if they go that
Yeah.
model, that could grow it. So I kind of go down a whole different rabbit hole because that model, the minor league model, will parlay it into giving more opportunities. Again, at the end of the day, guys, Team Australia needs opportunities. These guys need opportunities to have at bats, innings pitched, facing top competition. They need it. The Americans are playing year round, basically. The Japanese are, the Koreans, Dominicans, you name it. The Australians, without a league, they're only playing a half a year, and it's a flat tire. You're flying on three tires. You need that opportunity. They need those at bats, and because it's
Yeah.
Southern Hemisphere, they need it. So there's a lot of real passionate things they could be doing, but here we are, where we're still at four teams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you brought up something pretty interesting there, where you said the minor league model wasn't embraced, right? And so I'm obviously not privy to these conversations. I don't know if you are either, but do you know if because what you're saying makes a lot of sense to me? Of when you were the Philadelphia Phillies, the New York Yankees, people will come out to see the New York Yankees. It doesn't matter what you do, people are going to see them. When you're the
Yeah.
Perth Heat or the Canberra.
Calvary, yeah.
Thank you. I was going to say the Rough Riders. That's Frisco, Texas. But yeah, when you're
Close
the
enough.
when you're the Canberra Cavalry or whatever, the Brisbane Bandits, you don't have that brand loyalty, right? So like, as much as it would be nice, thousands of people aren't going to come out to watch the game. You're going to get a couple hundred maybe. So I see no reason why they shouldn't be giving out bobbleheads or doing whatever. Do you know if this was a concerted effort by Baseball Australia or the ABL to say no, like that diminishes our brand, we're not doing that, or if it's just somebody's got to take the reins and start ordering shipments of bobbleheads and it just never happened?
I think somebody's got to have a vision. That's the vision. I don't think anybody's doing it on purpose. The history of the Australian Baseball League in the 90s was a big deal. You had major league partnerships. Then the league goes away for basically they played the Claxton Shield national tournament 2000 to 2008. So for 8 years, you didn't have a professional league with guys coming over from the States and Australians playing affiliated Australians playing. So it goes away. And now you're in danger of going away again. So you've stopped started 3 times. It's hard to keep the momentum going. That's why you were saying about, for example, Steve Montgomery, the manager of the Sioux City Explorers, he was a Perth Heat pitcher back in '96 when they won the Claxton Shield in the first ABL. And the sad part about it is, he has friends and mates there still, but that team stops for 8, 9 years and comes back again. And that disconnect is there. So it's a disconnect from a player standpoint who doesn't know where his team's been the last 7, 8 years. How are fans supposed to embrace it? That now in Australia they do embrace their states. The rugby's a big deal with that. The Battle of Queensland and New South Wales and the rugby's a big deal. But they're a little more state cheering for the team in their state. But at the same time, if Junior doesn't know anything about the Perth Heat, and suddenly you missed a generation because now he's in high school or college, he skipped that whole time to watch a Greg Jelks, who was a legend in the league back in the '90s, or watching, and then Dad tells him about Greg Jelks, and he gets to see Tim Kennelly or whoever the next guy, Liam Hendricks, whoever that's come through there. He's got a chance to connect. We lost that connection, so it's forced them to kind of strike with the irons hot and try for the big game and try for the big TV contract, which all that's swung and missed every time. And I just think it takes somebody to say, hey, we need to do it this way, concerted effort this way. Let's not worry about getting a TV deal in Japan or Korea or wherever we can get the big bang. Let's worry about getting our franchises on solid footing first. Let's get folks in the ballpark. I want to have 80% capacity on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We don't play on Tuesdays night. In the States, their GMs in the States have been going nuts for having no Tuesday nights, right? No minor league owner wants to have a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday schedule. They hate those days.
Yeah, you want Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yeah.
But in the ABL, that's all you're playing. All you're playing is your prime night. So why don't we build that? But again, I think part of it's not because they don't care. It's been a disconnect because you've had some leadership gaps there. You had the league go away for a while, and so you can't keep the momentum going. It's just like sort of like a suspended ball game. You're up 3-0, and you come back 2 months later, and your team may be different. Who knows what happens, right? It's sort of the same thing.
Yeah.
Same principle.
Now we had the last episode we had a guy on called Dan Boyce who runs a website called Aussie Hoopla. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yeah.
And so he's an NBL expert, and I basically had him explain the history of the NBL up until Larry Kesselman gets involved, who is the benefactor basically. And it sounded remarkably similar to the Australian basketball or to the Australian Baseball League, where on the verge of bankruptcy all the time, teams keep dropping in and out. There's no money, the model's not sustainable, and then Larry Kesselman takes over. And so I was thinking, all you need is a rich guy to just like baseball, and he buys the league, offsets the losses, and eventually it grows. And Dan brought up something super interesting that I didn't know about, and I would assume most people didn't, is he said, Larry isn't doing this out of the goodness of his heart. Yes, he likes basketball. Yes, he likes Melbourne United, and he likes bringing his kid to the game. But more importantly, he builds real estate, like high rises. And he had a hard time getting in with Asian investors. And whenever he calls them up and says, I want to talk to you about a deal, they go, no, they hang up the phone. But when he calls up these Asian investors and says, hey, why don't I take you to a basketball game? I own the basketball team. They go, oh, yeah, we love basketball. And then they're willing to talk to him. And I was sitting there and it was staring, and I'm not a rich guy, so I don't know how they operate. But it was staring me in the face where I was like, outside of the United States, what countries love baseball the most? Korea, Japan, Taiwan, unfortunately not China. That would be huge. But that would be perfect. You know what I mean? So I don't know where I'm going with that. But I feel like the ABL has so much potential and it just can't figure it out.
You're right on there too, because I think that's one that look at Melbourne. Melbourne's looking at trying to be involved in Korea. Geelong Korea was in the ABL, was a huge success. It didn't draw well. It didn't matter because their TV money was so good coming from Korea to watch the Korean prospects. It funded itself, right? There is some truth to use the Asian markets. I would say the Oceania Asian markets. The one thing I would say, and I'll use it from an American perspective. I work in the great game of baseball, and I don't know what goes on in the Caribbean. I don't know what goes on in Puerto Rico. I don't know what goes on in Dominican, and they're just around the corner and they're playing in the wintertime. I do know what goes on in college football, the NFL, and the ABL because I'm working there. But Americans, we kind of dial out the season, right? And another excuse is, well, I don't understand Spanish, right? Well, now you've got a language barrier. How many Australians are going to understand Korean or Japanese? The question is going to be, this is the question. The Asian question is this: what is in it for the Australian Baseball League and for Baseball Australia? That's the question. Is it TV money? Well, that'll help prop things up for a while, but is that gonna be a sustainable model? Will the TV ratings be so? Will Koreans watch Australian players play baseball because they got nothing else on TV? Or, I mean, are they that mad? And I don't know the answer to that question. That's my worry about because I know in America you don't see TV deals for the Roberto Clemente League, or you don't see TV deals in Mexico. I mean, you can stream them; they're all on. There's no
Right.
TV game. There's no. We've got a major league game of the week, and we got regional networks. But the Latin game in the wintertime doesn't have big network viewing. And MLB does some games, but
Right.
I never stop down and watch them. I don't know anybody that does. I mean, I
Yeah.
look at the numbers and see, well, who won the Caribbean World Series, who did whatever. If I know a player, but
Right.
I'm a baseball nut and I don't watch it. Not because I don't like it, just because it's a different time of the year for me. And you're asking Americans to be, and you're asking Australians to be involved, in a different season as well. I just think it's a tough challenge. It's the right idea. Oceania is the right place to be. Korea is the right place. Japan's the right place. But you got to ask, what is in it for Baseball Australia? What is it going? Is it going to lead to more players playing in Korea? More back. If it leads to that, I'm all fine with that. But if it's not going to help develop the team or the national team, then what are we doing? Except for hoping we get a big check for TV. And again, I think that's where they're going. I mean, I'm not privy to anything more than this is a guess here from me, but I believe they're hoping that they get a TV deal in Korea that'll prop up some teams down the road, and that'll help them out financially without, doing the basic minor league models. Go out, hit every door, and get every group and every church group and every youth group and every little league team come to your ballpark. It works in Sioux City, Iowa, works at Winnipeg, works everywhere in our American Association. Don't know why it wouldn't work in Perth or anywhere else, but again, that's sort of where I'm coming. So you're right on, Ethan, about the Asian eyes and all that. But I just wonder what is in it for Australia and for Baseball Australia in the long term. Is it going to develop a better team to compete at the national level? Is it going to create more? Is it going to get little Johnny, who lives in Joondalup, north of Perth? Is he going to decide all of a sudden he wants to play baseball because there's a game streaming in Korea? I don't know if little Johnny's going to be paying attention, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
No,
Now,
I just don't know, and that's where I'm coming from.
Can I run sort of a cynical idea past you? And it just popped into my head. So if you think it's stupid, go ahead. But right as things stand now, there's an import system. And I don't know, there's a point system on imports, and I don't remember exactly the way it works. But the idea behind it is to say, we want to grow baseball in Australia. We want our domestic players to get reps, and that's the most important thing. So we will allow a certain amount of imports. And I believe the way it works is Australian players are like, they take away from your they're beneficial to the cap, and then
They're like negative points.
they're negative points, correct? And then affiliated players, so guys in an MLB system, are like 2 points, and then non-affiliated guys, indie ball guys, that sort of thing, are like 4 points. So that's like you're really burning up your points to bring in an indie ball like a hired gun, which is fine. However, what I'm thinking is, and I don't know if this is feasible, so let me know. As far as I can tell, and I think I'm correct about this, is that these, like the Phillies have an agreement with the Adelaide Giants, and I think the Brewers and the Royals work with the Bandits, and of course the Rays with the Heat. There might be a few others that I don't remember. But these teams, when the Phillies sent down Logan O'Hoppe to play for the Adelaide Giants, they paid the Giants to take him. And my understanding is that the Giants like made money off of this. Like they covered his room and board, they covered his salary, and then they gave the Giants some money to do this, basically, to get him the reps. So this is an appealing place to play, right? It's safe, it's clean. Everybody loves Australia. It's fun to be at. You get good coaching because a lot of those guys are involved in MLB systems, and then it's a high quality of play. maybe not on the level of the Dominican, but they're like Ronald Acuna's played there, Liam Hendricks has played there, you say Kikuchi, Christopher Sanchez,
Yeah.
a lot of guys.
There's
So
no
there's a lot of
language
reasons.
barrier, as we
Yeah,
talked
there's no
about.
language barrier. So there's a lot of reasons to like it. The money is the problem. So what I'm wondering is if you just took the cap off the import system and just turned it into a feeder system and basically said major league teams send us your guys. You don't have anywhere else to send them other than the Dominican or other than the Caribbean. Out in wintertime, which has some problems. It's not as safe. The language isn't the same, whatever. That might be cynical, and you can still reserve some spots for Tim Kennelly and Tim Atherton and all your guys that need reps for Team Australia. But there is a certain point where you go, the last dude on the bench is not playing for Team Australia. If it's about money, this doesn't serve a purpose. And I don't know if I love that idea, but would that help with the money?
And you're onto something there because you're right. When the major league teams send players over, that saves. It's the same thing if you're. You mentioned Frisco a while ago, Frisco, Texas. The Frisco ownership doesn't pay the players. That's the Rangers pay the players. Rangers pay for the equipment. They pay. They split the cost of the uniforms. There's certain costs that they split, but the main things, the salary, is coming from the Rangers. That is from them. And if you can save the bulk of your expense, salary, room and board, things of that nature. If you're sending a coach over, you've got instructors there as well. You're paying those guys. I mean, you are saving yourself. Let's say that the Rays have sent pitching coaches before. That saves the Heat from having to pay for an extra pitching coach or an extra coach or whatever. That is a savings. But again, you're going to have the hardcore Australians, and I love them dearly. I'm one of their. I support this thought. It's to grow the game in Australia with Australian players. But we've run the thing in such a way that you almost have to do it that. You almost have to have a handout and say, we'll take more imports if you guys will help foot the bill. You almost have to, because Major League Baseball didn't run it. 80% of it was run by Major League Baseball in 2015, I guess it was, when they pulled out. And 80% of the league was funded by Major League Baseball. And back then, everybody was fine. They paid the bills, same import rules. Now, you're almost to a point you almost have to sell your soul to get, double the imports, save yourself some salary, because if it's bottom line thing, which is what we're having a problem with, paying the bills,
Right.
That's where you got to go. And, that is, I think you're onto something. I have no problem with that. Again, it's going to upset a lot of people I care about who really want to see Australians get a chance. But because it's been run a certain way, you back yourself in the corner that, well, either going to go down with Australians playing and go out of business, or use more import players and perhaps help your bottom line. It's a tough question. I think you'd probably take baseball over no baseball.
Mhm.
That's what I would.
Yeah, agreed.
And
Just out of curiosity, really fast, do you know? Because I know the MLB teams pay for all this stuff. When NPB teams and KBO teams send over their guys, does the same apply?
Absolutely.
I think that's
Same
perfect.
thing.
And because then if you start getting the Asian leagues, because I know it's a handful of guys here and there, if you
Right.
start really getting them to send over their guys, that raises the level of play a lot. And so if you get out some of like the lower level guys, which is a shame, but if you keep it like your Team Australia guys are going to get reps against NPB guys, minor league guys, that's a lot more helpful than the plumber from Perth.
I agree. And I'll throw one more thing out there too. Okay. And this is where the minor league model comes back again. Again, I'm in the smallest market in the American Association, Sioux City. We also are covered by 2 TV stations in our market. We only have 2. We have a radio station deal. We have a newspaper that covers us. We have regional stations that cover us in the area. And it's not because we open the doors and say, come on in. We have a long-time relationship there since '93. We have a VP and an owner who wants a team there. He's going to make sure that team stays there. We have a VP who's got out there selling group nights and selling sponsorships and selling the things and selling the bobbleheads and selling the pennant giveaways, the Star Wars nights, all those things that you do. That's the things we're not doing. And I would say if you want to keep Australian players playing and not as many imports, you've got to hit the streets. You've got to make sure every little leaguer in Metro Sydney gets a ticket to a game. Every family that has kids playing T-ball has a ticket to a Perth game. Everybody reading a reading program, like all these teams doing reading programs in the States. You're summertime. You read 5 super books, you get 5 tickets. Whatever the case may be, you've got to do things like that. You've got to get out there and you got to kiss the babies, shake the hands. You got to get the group nights out. And if you can get a 5% increase across the board Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're going to see your bottom line up, and eventually you can start paying more Australians. pay higher wages, pay your players better, and the league will grow. But if you don't, if you're gonna not subscribe, if you're not going to subscribe to the minor league model, which is go out there and fill the seats with as many bodies as you can get, and run discounts, and run the beer specials, run the dollar hot dog nights, and do all the things you're going to do. If you're not going to do those things, then you're going to have to take the import players to help you pay the bills, because they're not.
Right.
They've not. The one thing they did, and I love these people dearly. You guys know this. My passion for Australia is deep. But I've said this now. This goes back since I've been involved. If you're not going to go out and make the effort, then what are you doing? You don't just open the gates and say, "Come on in." It takes a concerted effort. The work you do in July is too late. The work, American-wise, they should be out there selling right now in July. Now in the States, we're out selling in January, February. The work you do in January, February, March, and it includes putting a team together, is what you're going to have in July when the 4th of July fireworks show happens, or the last homestand we have with Star Wars. We had a great crowd on Star Wars night. Why? We were working on that back in January. It's a year-round project. It's not just open the gates and play baseball. And that's the mentality we've got to get away from over there. For us to grow the game, we've got to grow it from that minor league model and get interest from little Johnny and little Susie and get them coming out because, hey, Mom, Dad, it was a great time. I want to go see the baseball. And that's where we got to get to. And they're not. And so we're in this spot right now because we haven't done that. And I'll preach it from the mountaintop. I've been doing it for a long time. And they'll say, well, you do a better job, Vaughn. Well, they haven't offered that job to me. So there's that. That's part of it. But it's this manual's there because I've watched King County, Illinois do it. I watched Sioux City, Iowa do it. It doesn't matter, large or small. The model works if you do it and you're committed to doing it. By the way, baseball's still alive and well in these places. So again, that's where I come from. But you're right, Ethan, you're right. Because if you're not going to do those things, you might as well sell your soul and say, well, give me 5 more imports. And that's going to cover my salaries. And I'm going to be able to, maybe afford whatever it is I need to afford. Right.
Yeah.
That's right. I think you're right on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, it sounds like the impression I get when I watch the ABL games is that it has a lot more like high school baseball game energy, where they, again, like you said, they just kind of throw the gates open, hey, you can come watch baseball if you want to. We're playing, and it's that's just it. It's well, listen, if you're trying to build the game in a country that doesn't have 100-year history of songs about baseball games and everybody's dad played baseball and there's baseball leagues on every street, it's a lot of people are gonna be why would I go to that? I'm going to go watch a sport that I actually know what it is, or I'm familiar with it. And what you're suggesting will get people to come and then maybe identify oh, actually, I kind of like that. That was kind of a fun game to watch.
An NHL example. I'll give an NHL example. Here in Dallas, Fort Worth, where I make my home, in '93, the Minnesota North Stars were to Dallas. I grew up playing hockey here. I didn't grow up playing hockey. I didn't know a single hockey. No, we didn't have high school hockey. No one played hockey. We had a minor league team, and we would go once a year. It was like a gimmick, right? That was it.
Yeah.
Hockey culture didn't exist. Fast forward now, Stanley Cup later, and going these final runs and all that. The Dallas Stars have invested in these star centers throughout the Metroplex with skating rinks. You got high school leagues now. Where did that all start? With those kids, getting those kids into hockey, a place they can go skate, a place they could play, and a team they could go watch and relate to. And it took 25, 30 years. And Michael Dixon, who used to be the Lincoln Salt Dogs broadcaster, now is working with the Dallas Stars as a pre- and post-game host. He grew up in an environment that had hockey. I grew up 20 years earlier. It didn't exist. There was no Mike Madonna for us here because it didn't exist. But now it exists, and that's my example, is that it took a concerted effort to A, get kids there, B, a place for them to skate. Well, it's the same thing. We have plenty of ball fields in Australia. We have plenty of places for kids to play. We got to get them to the ballpark, get them fired up about wanting to come back. We want them to come back, and every little kid should have a ticket to he should have a pass to go to any ABL game he wants to. I don't care what town he lives in, because he's going to bring mom and dad. He's going to bring a 20 spot or whatever, and he's going to come back. He's gonna have a good time.
A hot dog and stuff.
Exactly. And again,
you might see
it's a concept that I know it's sort of, and I know I don't want to, and please, people who are watching and listening, don't think that I'm bashing, because I'm not bashing Australia. I want this to succeed. I've been preaching this on Baseball's Best Mate now for 13 years. because I've seen it. Now, some places, Perth does a really good job. They got a really great MC. Paul Morgan, who's my broadcast partner over there, he and I got our start. I was a PA guy. He was the grounds announcer. We were having fun, getting the crowd fired up, doing crazy antics. And that's what developed our radio show and where we're doing it now, because we just started doing wheels off things back in 2012. And, got the mic in his hand and go, hey, what do you think? And get the fans involved. Just a little gimmick like that. And it started to create energy. And Perth does a great show. Canberra did a great show. Melbourne does a great show. I mean, I've been to all these places, but there's also times where, Canberra, is a change of a GM or whoever loses their GM, and it's got to start over again. And that's been a problem too. You haven't had a lot of continuity, so that's been a big issue. But there's some good shows there. But we've got to raise our game, man. We've got to make it. It has to be an event. When you go to insert minor league ballpark, at the worst case scenario, you're going to walk out happy. Hopefully, you walk out your team winning. Hope they win and you are happy. But if the worst thing is that your team lost, but you still went up having a good time, we've done our job.
Yeah, then everybody.
You're going to go back.
Dan, I hate that we got to cut you loose, but we got less than a minute. Tell everybody where to find you, where they can get updates on everything you're doing.
Absolutely. We're Baseball's Best Mate. We're on X, Baseball's Best Mate. Paul Morgan and I, we're going to be launching our show again. We go to dry dock in the wintertime. Australian winter. It's the American summer, but we'll start ramping up our show here in the next week or two. And then you can follow me at Dan Vaughan Jr. on X, Dan Vaughan Jr. on X. Also, TikTok. I do some TikTok videos for our ball games on the Sioux City side at the Sioux City Explorers. We're on KSCJ in Sioux City and AABaseball.tv. Both of those are online as well, so you can catch our work. And if you like history of baseball, I'll dive into some with you as well. So we'll do it. Fantastic. Man. I appreciate you guys.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Dan. Have a good one. Thanks for sharing your experience.
Anytime, guys. Anytime.